Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are on podcast number 7. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Please, before we get into it, if you can do us one massive favour, smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Our aim is to get to 1,000 subscribers within the next week or so, you guys can get us there.
Yeah, that'd be good if they could do that. Yeah, if they could help us out. We've got a lot of interesting things to talk about. So where do we start, dude?
Hey,
do you want me to take it over from here?
Just take over, man.
Right, so basically at the moment we've got Alvarez, who's he's decided that he's against an immediate rematch with BIVOL. He's decided that he will have a third fight with Gennady Golovkin. What do you think about that, dude?
Well, do you not think it's... Look, I'll always look at things in two ways. There's the boxer and then the guy behind the boxer. So as far as I'm concerned, in this situation, I think he's been heavily advised by Eddie Hearn.
Absolutely.
That's what I think. You'll not hear other people talk about that. That's Eddie Hearn's decision.
This is money, man. This is money, and this is where money speaks. And I did speak about this in earlier podcasts, if you remember. I'd been watching the clips of Eddie Hearn and talking about this, that, and the other, and I kind of guessed that he didn't want him to fight BIVOL at this point because it could have a financial impact on his on the situation at the moment, and I don't blame him really. To be honest,
if you think about it, right, Eddie Hearn's got he's got hundreds of people on his roster. We know he's a successful man, but the cash cows. In my eyes, I mean, I might be missing a few people out here. Let me know, troops. We're talking Anthony Joshua,
yeah,
massive cash cow, and we got Canelo Alvarez, yeah,
absolutely,
unbelievable money makers for Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's a businessman first. Let's remember that he's a promoter, but this guy makes a hell of a lot of money. He generates a lot of money for boxing.
This is what he gets paid to do, yeah.
You know, so for me, I'm looking at it. I generally think, and this is not necessarily a bad thing or a criticism. He makes business decisions before he makes boxing decisions, and then he looks at the boxer secondly, and he's looking at this and going, if Alvarez loses to BIVOL in the rematch...
Which is what we said, yeah.
Which, let's be honest...
There's a strong possibility, dude.
We have to be honest, right? There's a very strong chance that he gets really, really whooped the second time.
Well, he could do. He could do.
And then where does that leave Canelo Alvarez? Well, it leaves him with...
It takes his credibility down because he's just had a defeat to BIVOL. And then you know, I mean, he's a big star. He's a big guy. He's staying in the super middleweight category where he feels that he's probably got one hell of a chance. Even though I have to say... Golovkin is no pushover by any standard mind. He's a definite threat mind in this third fight.
But I'm looking at it. It's funny you should say that. I'm looking at it slightly differently as well. He's not a pushover. Very, very tough fight. But I think the public want to see that fight more than BIVOL because it's going to be entertaining. You know, I think it's going to be more competitive. It's an even match. It's more evenly matched. BIVOL. It's not. BIVOL's a class act.
It's kind of. Look, this fight with BIVOL he must have just thought it was going to be a little bit of a walk in the park. This is just my opinion. Yeah. And he was sadly mistaken. And Hearn said, "Look, come on." He steered him away from possible. He's took his ego away from the situation. Me personally, I don't think this is going to be any easier than the BIVOL fight for him because...
But in terms of longevity, he fights Golovkin, win, lose or draw. He's still got that potential public fight that the public want with BIVOL. So there's another 2 fights there. Yeah. Whereas he gets beat again off BIVOL. Does that Golovkin fight even happen? I mean, we're talking about Golovkin and bloody Eubanks Jr. and stuff.
There could be a big spanner in the works if that happens. But as it stands today, 50 minutes ago, the news states he's fighting him for a third time. And it's probably a good call.
I'm looking forward to that fight. You know,
it'll be exciting. That's for sure.
The
sparks will fly.
Definitely be doing a live stream on that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be up on that.
You know,
But,
having a few beers, I suppose, as well.
Absolutely, and a few giggles along the way. We're serious when we want to be, like, now, and we have a laugh again. Well, that's life, isn't it? People want to have a laugh now and again. But when it's time to get serious, we're getting serious. So that's the first thing we wanted to talk about. We've said our little bit on that.
What's happening? What's next?
So I'm basically looking at the fact that this is in the news. There's a guy in the news, a heavyweight sparring partner, USYK'S sparring partner.
Or Martin Bakoli?
Bakoli, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Bakoli. Let us know in the comments if that's right, guys.
He's had 19 bouts, 18.
I'll get you his record now. He's 18 wins.
One defeat, something like that.
One defeat, and he got knocked out in that defeat. But he's
had 13 KOs.
He's 13 knockouts. He's a heavyweight.
There's a lot of talk.
He's 11th in the world, actually.
Right, yeah. So his last fight he had against I think it was a French lad who won the gold medal, Olympic. So and he's went over there and he's fought this lad, and I don't know if it was in France or whatever. I was just looking at a few of the highlights.
Yeah.
And he's given him a damn good working over.
What, is this his last fight you're talking about?
Yeah.
Who Bakoli's last fight?
Yeah. So that threw him right into the contention, into the mix, right up there. And I mean, I've had a brief look at him, and he's technically he's a great boxer.
Just looking at his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights, and he's knocked everyone out bar 2.
This is it. This is what I'm saying.
And the 2 decisions was unanimous, and the second, his last fight was a majority decision. But obviously, he's fighting someone a bit. Tony Yoka.
Yes, that's the guy. He went right up the rankings when he fought this guy, and he's
fair play to him, man.
He's getting but the word is that Bakoli, Martin Bakoli, it's going round. I'm hearing a lot about this guy. That tells me something. Dylan White, he mentioned he's been sparring with them. Tyson Fury, he's been sparring with them. So
he's next in line.
He's next in line. He could possibly be next.
You think about it, right? We were talking about this off stream, actually. Every generation, especially in the heavyweight division, right? Heavyweight division, you've got to have someone in the limelight, and the promoters know that. So what they do is they bring these young'uns up, all right, and then every now and again, look, we've got the usual British heavyweight stars who's in the limelight now, up and coming. We know they've got a few more years in the pipeline before they become great. But every now and again, there's like a side. There's a guy comes in through the side door who you haven't really heard of, and then all of a sudden you think, blimey, who's this kid on the block?
You'll always hear whispers first, and you did with Mike Tyson.
Exactly.
I mean, we heard whispers. I heard whispers. He's the same age as me, Mike. And I was hearing, this kid in America, this Tyson, he's doing this, he's doing that, in his early pro fights, and then he started getting them put on TV. So we got a good look at him, but. They'll always put a whisper out about a certain individual before he actually blasts his way on the scene. And I personally think that this Martin Bakoli, if that's how you pronounce his name, is that person who they've put in. Because you've got to understand your Tyson Furies, your Joshua.
They're finished nearly, man, aren't they?
They've nearly reached the top of the peak, and they're fighting each other, and who's the best here and who's the best there. And there's a couple of fights left to
2 more years worth of fun for all of them.
Possibly.
Even
not even that, dude. You might have a year. You might have another good year. Once this fight happens, I believe it will happen with Fury and Joshua. I said it before. It's got to happen. That's if he doesn't get beat off Usyk. If he gets beat off Usyk, he's out the picture. Totally.
He's out the picture.
He's totally out the picture.
I was thinking about this. If Joshua gets beat by Usyk, right, the man genuinely, I think, will get beat off the likes of these young up-and-coming lads. Well, because you're not going Martin Bakoli and stuff. People like that aren't going to really get a chance until they get their higher ranking to fight the likes of AJ and stuff.
You've got to earn the right, haven't you?
You've got to earn the right, but it doesn't mean to say that these younger kids coming up the ranks couldn't whoop the likes of AJ's ass. Because these are the kids who can. They just don't get the opportunity straight away.
Well, they've got to win. They've got to work the way up there. They've got to you know, I mean, some of these guys from backstreet gyms in America, wherever, all around the world, they haven't got the money, or money hasn't been put
AJ
into
was world champion before this. I mean, this kid's had 19 bouts. He could be up there in contention sooner than we think, you know.
They're talking about him a lot.
Yeah.
And if you look at, if you wanted to have a look at some of his fights, you'll probably think, hang on a minute, he's shown signs of an exceptional, you know what, he's big, he's strong, but he's like, it sounds crazy, he's a bit like Bivol, the way he technical, and when he lets his shot go, his shots on the inside, they're kind of accurate, but they're very fast, and he's in and out with these fast shots.
Accuracy wins fights, and in the heavyweight division, right, you've got to be accurate with your shots. You've got to conserve your energy. You know, people look at Mike Tyson, for instance, a fighting machine, right? But he was accurate. He conserved a lot of energy. He didn't waste many punches. He threw with intent, and he wanted to hit the target.
You couldn't afford to waste punches. I mean, yes, you do miss with some of the big shots, and it takes a hell of a lot out of you when you miss with you know yourself. If you're hitting it, you're going for your shots and you're missing, it takes an awful lot out of you. Well, Mike, like what you've just said, and it was a good point, he was very, very accurate. He had speed and power, great footwork and great head movement.
Fantastic boxer.
Combining all that together, he didn't waste a lot. It was just in his later fights.
You put another foot on or half a foot on Mike Tyson. You know, so he's into the Deontay Wilder realms of height. You know, your 6'4s, 5s, and 6s. Because there's some of those heavyweights.
Scary dude, isn't it? Scary to think.
Think about it, man. Mike Tyson arguably was, 5'9", 5'10". There's a few people say he was 5'11". He's not. He reckon he was about 5'10".
Damn good.
I mean, think about it, man. 5'10". That's my height. And he was destroying blocks. Unbelievable talent, man.
He's having bits of sparring now at, like I say, at 55, coming up to 56. He's sparring now, and when you look at his sparring footage, you know, it's it's quite remarkable, really, isn't it, that he's kept himself in this absolutely wonderful condition at his age. And Mike's Mike, isn't he? He's not frightened to have his say, speak his mind, and he's very truthful, Mike Tyson. He's a very truthful individual and had a lot of ups and downs in his life. But like I say, you know, this new guy, this Martin Bakole, I think, in fact, I know, in a sense, I get this feeling that he's just been right. Stop here until you get the green light, till the other heavyweights is done and dusted. Or even what you could find with this guy is that if you do get some of the heavyweights that's let's say they're fighting on when they really shouldn't be, or they're deciding I still want to fight, then this guy could be put in with them. I don't know, let's say, you know, Dylan White Fury, anybody like that. If they fight on, they generally put these guys in with them to get rid of them, or to try and get rid of them,
to get rid of them, and to also give the guy his last payday.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean. And
yeah.
I've got a bit of a theory on this. Maybe the viewers can let us know how they think on this, and I'd like to hear your opinion on it as well, Dad. Usyk, I believe, is going to bulk up for this fight.
Well, I don't.
And I think AJ is going to bulk up as well.
You see, if he puts extra weight on, he's going to be slower. And because he came in at the weight he did in the last
he nearly knocked AJ out, didn't he?
Yeah, he had his head movement, and he got inside of AJ, and he caught him with some hooks. And yeah, he was banged up, like you pointed it out earlier.
Banged right up, man.
He looked like he'd been hit off a bloody, you know, his face was pretty...
He was cut up.
He was cut, he was banged, he was in a fight. You could tell he'd been in a bit of a fight. But AJ just did not perform. It's frightening to think if AJ does put a bit weight on and performs, he'd be in trouble, man.
AJ was quite venomous when he was heavier. When he was more bulked up. I think actually his success, he got a lot of stick for being bulked up, the weightlifter, the bodybuilder, the bulk up, it doesn't win fights. But, you know, we've seen with AJ actually, he performed quite well when he was like that. Granted, his stamina was lacking, but he didn't need it as much. He got them the hell out of there, you know.
It seemed that way, and it also seemed well, you know yourself, when you're a bit bigger and you can handle the weight.
Sometimes you feel good,
You
Dad.
feel confident about
some
yourself.
people like to feel, go in there and, you know something, bulked up, you can eat more, you can get the food in, there's no dying, there's no pressure. You're going in there and thinking, I'm strong as a bull, and as a man you feel good when you're strong,
George Foreman, when he fought Evander Holyfield, I just use that as a for instance. He looked like a big fatty and big, but George always maintained that he felt great, and he could do 12 rounds of sparring like nothing.
I think your punch resilience goes through the roof as well when you have that extra weight, you know. Yeah. I mean, AJ, believe it or not, he hasn't really been criticised that much for this. Now, granted, he hasn't been sparked out left, right and centre, but I'm going to throw this out here anyway. AJ's got a bit of a glass chin. He's just been quite good at not being hit. The moment that dude gets hit on his chin or anywhere around it and a little bit of pressure on off the smaller guys, his legs are wobbling all over.
I didn't really want to, you know, boxing's such a hard game, it really is. Just to get through the ropes is a show of absolute, you know, bravery. And it's easy for us to say, or me or the next man to turn around and say, oh, this, that and the other. We are just
blissfully
observing and seeing it as we see it. Now, AJ, when he fought Klitschko, when he came over, Klitschko came over and they fought down London there in that big fight. And you see Klitschko caught him with the right hand.
He was all over the place, man.
And Joshua, honestly, he was gone. He was gone, and
though,
Klitschko looked at him as if to say, hang on,
devil's advocate,
if I hit this guy again,
he's out of Klitschko let him off the hook there.
This is what
and you called it, that fight, right?
This is what I'm trying to get at.
I'm not saying it was fixed that, but I swear to God, you watch the fight back, guys. You watch Klitschko let him off the hook, man.
When he hit him with the right hand,
he was one more punch away.
Klitschko looked as if to say, hang on, I didn't expect that kind of reaction.
Tell you something, right? Klitschko could have followed up with a jab and knocked him out. He could have followed up with a couple of jabs and had him the hell out of there, you know?
He looked as if to say, hang on, I'm not supposed to do this.
I wasn't getting paid to do this.
No, and I better, yes, and Joshua kind of fought back and he caught him with this uppercut and banged him about a bit. But really, when you've wobbled a guy like that in the later rounds when they're really tired, unless you're the exceptional Tyson Fury, which he's not.
He's not.
And this is what I'm trying to say. It's like Anthony Joshua's. He's escaped a few occasions. I mean, we said he would get found out if he fought a decent heavyweight, didn't we?
Yes, and
Andy Ruiz. Yes, he was a contender and a damn good 200 not amateur fights. Ruiz, he got found out.
I'm not a hater of AJ. I'm a big fan of him. And another thing I'd like to mention, right? Me and Dad, British, UK, through and through. We're on the home team every single time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And AJ, look, we're on the same team, man.
Yes.
But I have to be honest with you. When it comes to credibility, I do think...
You've got to be brutally honest.
I do think it's not all him. Eddie Hearn's been part of this, but hey, he's made a lot of money from it. I do think AJ has ducked, whether it's through Eddie Hearn or not, he's ducked the best in the division, and he's ducked them because he knows he'll get knocked out off the best in the division. He gets beat off those who are close to being the best.
Do you know, there was talk... A couple of days ago I was reading up on an article and a lot of people assumed that AJ didn't want to fight Deontay Wilder when they signed the deal. Now apparently it's come to light now that it was Wilder, his team, who did not sign the contract for that fight.
If there was anything to do with that, right?
$50 million. Bob Arum
let's just take it as that then. Let's take it as what you're saying is absolutely right, and it wasn't Deontay Wilder's team. Do you really think, knowing how Deontay Wilder got in with arguably the greatest fighter of his generation, Tyson Fury, right? He tried to kill Tyson Fury 3 times, man. So I'm gonna stick up for Deontay Wilder. Hate him as a person. That man doesn't duck nobody on this planet. There's not a man he's scared of.
Well, this is what
he knocks out AJ and he knows it inside 6 rounds. He potentially, I don't want to even say it, he potentially does him damage within 1 or 2.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, but we've got to look at the reality of this. This man isn't... I can't even boast about his power, Dad. This man's power is disgusting.
When this came to light, I thought, you really? He doesn't want to fight Joshua?
Nah,
what's going on here? What kind of shit is this? What kind of shit? Because whether we like it or not, whether that statement was true, whether it wasn't true, there's one thing that is true, that Deontay Wilder has shown what a man and a warrior he is in his 3 fights with Fury.
I got a lot of...
Tell me I'm wrong.
From the boxing fights, not as a person, as an athlete, you have to respect Deontay Wilder.
Big style.
Look, Tyson Fury said he's retired. Yeah? Let's just take his word for it. Who's the best heavyweight in the world now then?
Wilder.
Deontay Wilder
without a shadow of a doubt.
Is the best heavyweight on the damn planet, man.
Yeah.
I'll argue with anyone. There's no one beats Deontay Wilder on the planet right now.
Yeah, you know...
In the absence of Fury.
In the absence of Fury, yeah. Fury's an exception. He's just an exception.
I don't even think the fight with AJ is competitive. Bearing in mind, right, the anger that the desire that Deontay is going to have to be able to have them belts back. He knows he ain't going to have to fight Fury. He'd fight Fury again, man.
Well, of course.
But I swear to God, if
1,000,000%.
He's looking at himself going, I've got to fight this chump. The guy who got beat off Andy Puis. It's not happening, man. He's knocking AJ out. AJ knows it. He's going in there with venom in his fists, Dad. Honest to God, it's
to beat.
Oh man, you'll see the most violent version of Deontay Wilder. I'm honest to God. What's AJ going to do? You're going to cover up and do his England ABA style defense? So it's not going to happen.
I'll have to stop you there, because we're talking about a fight that should have been, and we're talking about a fight that could potentially still happen. Right? It could.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be more excited, right? And listen, I'm on the home team still. I want AJ to win the fight. I want AJ to win that fight. Yeah. Home team, look, it's how it works,
of course we do.
But we need to see that fight.
And we also need to see an improvement from AJ.
The only way AJ comes... You're not going to box your way to victory. He's not as good a boxer, not even close to Tyson Fury. And he can't box his way to victory against Deontay Wilder. Because Tyson Fury, let's face it, struggled to box to victory with Deontay Wilder. He had to fight his heart out there to win those fights. So is AJ going to be able to box him to 12-round decision?
When you've had 2 defeats... like that with AJ, you've got to make adjustments in your team. You've got to say, right, gives me case, I'm patting the fucker up. I'm going to the States. I'm going to knock on. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see, one of the top trainers over there. There's a number of the top trainers that you'd go to, or whatever they would. They would welcome him with open arms. And I mean, even Tyson Fury said as well. And I think AJ was thinking he was taking the piss a bit. And to me, it sounded like Fury was taking the piss a little bit when I'll teach you a few, this, that, and the other. And he's just belittling him a little bit. But there's something deep inside me, and you asked me the question on a podcast what we did earlier on. So what do I think of the outcome of a fight between Fury and Joshua? I'll tell you what I think. I'm saying the same as I did before. I ain't saying anything, mate. And to be honest, if that fight comes off, great. I think it'd be great for Britain. I think it'd be great for the rest of the world, and everybody tuning in from all over the world. But for Britain itself, I think it'll be absolutely amazing.
I'll tell you something else as well. I don't know if you've heard. Tell you what's going to be even better than any of these fights. Vladimir Klitschko opens up on WBC rematch plans with heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. Now, what do you think about that as a potential fight? With the plus, he must be 43, 44-year-old or something now, Vlad. I think that is a potential fantastic fight. fantastic fight. I mean, he was old when he fought Fury. Never mind now.
What did I think about it? Well, personally, he could have went and fought Jake Paul for 100 million, couldn't he? No, it's farcical. It's farcical, dude. It's farcical. That is. But I mean, boxing these days is becoming a little bit farcical.
It's entertainment business.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Like,
if somebody
can talk about it, can't we?
Yeah, of course we can.
But if
somebody's making money out of this and the fighters are making money and people's not getting hurt, I don't know. Go for it, whatever.
But what do you think would happen? Because I'm telling you, Tyson Fury's the best version he's ever been.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
he beats Vlad, doesn't he?
Tyson would have to carry him, I think, for a few rounds before he slaps him down the ground.
Thing is, though, Vladimir Klitschko, right, couldn't actually do a thing with Fury the first time, but it was the way Fury boxed. Fury boxed extremely well, but it was quite boring as well, if I'm honest with you. But the way Fury fights now is very much, he's an aggressive Kronk-style fighter, which I think would suit Klitschko more now than it would in the past.
He's a one for you. Don't fight Tyson Fury. You've been there, you got beat. Yeah.
Fight Wilder for the WBC.
Fight Wilder, yeah. Go and fight Wilder, dude.
I think it's a bit harsh for the old...
Go and fight Wilder.
I think that's... Listen, we keep on pulling this Wilder out of our arses
because he's there, mate.
We can't deny the man is really good.
Something exciting about the fella, isn't it?
He's great, man.
I mean, he's a real badass as well. He's a mean bastard, isn't he? He's he says some nasty things, dude. He wants to bury you and
true
kill
English
you.
Form. He's a right.
Choke you to death and everything. Kill you, him.
He's a horrible old bastard. That's what he is.
He's a nasty piece of work. In terms of selling tickets, I mean, he might have been better off being a fucking Undertaker. I don't know. The amount of people he wants to bury and kill and all the rest of it.
But he's great for the sport, though, isn't it? To have that bad guy.
Look, he could leave that dark side well away from his image and still be a bloody good turn.
If you made a boxing game, a fantasy boxing game, would be the perfect villain. You would create him because he's almost monstrous, man.
The boogeyman.
He's just gonna. We've seen pretty much all of his knockouts, Dad.
More or less, yeah.
And
savage knockouts.
Some of the knockouts I've never seen any other heavyweight and any other fighter except one guy, and you know who I'm talking about, the Hawk. There's only one guy I've seen who literally knocked you into a coma.
Well, Julian Jackson, the lad from the Virgin Islands, yeah, he was a great fighter. He knocked our champion out, Errol Graham, back in the day, and sparked him out in midair. I think he was just... But, you know, he's an interesting fact that's came about as well. You know, when they said who was the heaviest puncher of all time, and you said Deontay Wilder, didn't you?
I think pound for pound, the Hawk is probably...
No, I'm talking about a heavyweight.
Look, well, he is.
And do you know what boxing statistics says? Do you know what the boxing top men have come out with right now and analysed a certain fighter and said he is the powerfulest?
George Foreman.
No.
Really?
No.
Well, I don't know then if that's the case.
The fighter whose name came out, and you can look this up, as the top pound for pound punching powerfulest heavyweight of all time, and his knockout ratio suggests that as well, is Shannon Briggs.
Shannon Briggs, you know something? It was,
honestly, it's just emerged.
It was how he knocked them out as well, right? That man knocked the guys
first
out.
Rounds, first and second rounds.
People thought Mike Tyson wasn't a one-punch knockout artist. He got you out of there with an accumulation of punches.
Shannon Briggs.
Shannon can bang you out with one.
If you get him up there, dude, you'll find out that the boxing experts have said this guy is the powerfulest of them all.
I tell you what, I would be...
Wilder can hit hard,
I would be scared to argue against that because
Look it up.
the quality of opponents he's fought as well. But in terms of knockout ratio percentage, Dad,
he was first and
Deontay
second.
Wilder can't be denied.
How many first round knockouts did Shannon Briggs have?
I think he got like 20 off the belt or something.
And the rest, you have a look at how
20,
many.
30.
He was like phenomenal, man. It was phenomenal.
He was disgusting, like.
But yes, that's who the boxing experts have said. So what do we do? Do we wrap that up from there, or do we come away from there?
Wrap it up if you want. I mean,
do we come away from the heavyweights? And look, I wanted to mention this this other kid. I mean, it's in the lower weights. It's entirely up to you. The kid who's going to be fighting. There's possible talks, right? Yeah, this is the guy. It's Chris Congo, a young lad in the lower weights. Congo, it's funny, isn't it?
Chris from the Congo. Oh, by that other guy, Martin Bakoli, is from the Congo.
Yeah, right. So he's a Londoner. He's from London, this lad. And he's going to be fighting Germany's, what do you call him, Formula, or what do you call him? The guy who Conor Benn beat on points. He was going to be his toughest challenge. So the only two lads who's beat this Formula is this Sean Porter and Conor Benn.
Sean Porter's a good kid.
Sean Porter and Conor Benn. So the this Chris Conger, his record's 14-6-0 and 7 KOs. And I looked at his box rec, this young lad, and his 60 fights came like basically he lost his first fight. Oh, sorry, he won his first fight, lost his second, third, fourth, fifth. So they all came very early in his career. And to come back the way he has done.
So he's had a kick up the arse, is what you're saying. And
he's had a massive kick up.
Are you saying he's a guy to look out for?
Well, no, but in the boxing world, they say, I don't know what's happened to him. This might be an atomic kick up the arse, and he might have, but he's only had 7 KOs from them.
So what are you saying then?
What I'm trying to say is, right, this guy's shouting, he could be a possible opponent for Conor Benn, and to me, he doesn't pose any kind of a threat.
Listen, man, Conor Benn is... He
doesn't pose any kind of a threat. In my book, I could be wrong, to Conor Benn.
Nigel Benn...
Sorry to interrupt you. And they're using this fight that this Chris Congo is having with this Formula who Ben's beaten and Sean Porter's beaten. They're going to look to see, because basically what they're saying is he's looking to try and knock this Formula out in the early rounds, something that hasn't been done. Ben didn't do it, and neither did Sean Porter.
So what you're saying is if he does that in greater fashion, it puts him in a bit of a spot.
In the contention, they're hopefully going to look at him better than Conor Benn and Sean Porter.
The thing is, though, you got to look at Conor Benn, man. People like him. He's exciting. Boxing, right? You know what boxing's lacked for a long time? It's lacked Nigel Benn's, and it's lacked Chris Eubanks's. Even Eubanks Jr., he doesn't really have it, that flair what his dad had.
No.
He tries, but he hasn't got it. Conor Benn. He's got it, man.
In abundance, hasn't he?
And he also brings something else to the table as well. He's got that fire and charisma that Nigel Benn had, but he can box a bit. Look, when Nigel Benn got to world level, every fight was potentially dangerous for him because he just had a go. He had a go with the lads. He knocked you out or he got beat. Yeah, it's how it worked. But with Conor Benn, I generally think he can mix it up at the world stage. I think he can mix it up and not be too worried. If he can't get you out there, bang you out, he can box you, and he's got it all, Dad. He's got the full package. When Nigel Benn was saying, look, this kid's better than me, I believe him when he's saying it. Nigel Benn's an honest man, I don't know. I'm a massive fan of Conor Benn. I think he's a great kid.
That's one to look out for in the lower weights. It'll be interesting to see what he does against this Formula, the German lad, and to see if he can, like what his camp is suggesting, that he might take him out in the early rounds. I beg to differ with 7 KOs on that 20. Honestly,
I'll be honest with you, Dad. I'm not even bothered about that. That doesn't do nothing for me.
No, it doesn't nothing.
Just hearing that record, cheers.
It's just, that's what I'm thinking as well. I'm like just giving a little bit of adding a little bit flavour as we're coming down the weights. But I'm forgetting there's one I wanted to mention, Andy Ruiz. I know we're going back up the ladder, back to heavyweight.
Andy Ruiz, I like him.
We're going back to heavyweight because he's apparently accepted a challenge from
Pizza Dial.
from King Kong Ortiz, the big Cuban.
He's like 57-year-old or something, isn't he?
I don't know if it's a last hurrah for King Kong there.
Well, they reckon, you know when Fury's out of this picture, you know how many fights and potential bouts there is for this WBC? Like, it's exciting times. I wouldn't even... in fact, I've heard someone talk about this. The oldest heavyweight champion of all time, George Foreman, right? What was it, 45-year-old?
Yeah, I don't think he was the oldest. I think Archie Moore was the oldest.
George Foreman, the oldest heavyweight champion of all time.
Oldest heavyweight, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
They reckon there's a chance, albeit a small one, that Ortiz could potentially become world champion again. Now, what do you reckon about that? To be the oldest, they reckon there's people tipping him to beat George Foreman's record.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, man.
If there's anyone to do it, it's Ortiz, right?
Well, there's people out the way now, and there's still in the version. Is there any more versions of the heavyweight championship?
Well, in terms of credible world championships,
no.
I mean, you know,
if Fury's got them, and so's.
I mean, what version did George Foreman? It was a WBO or something, wasn't it?
What was it? He fought Tommy Morrison for the WBO. Morrison beat him.
But he beat what you call for the
Michael Moore. I think he held the
IBO.
I'm not sure. It might have been.
It wasn't a strong world championship, was it?
Yeah, of course it was, because Michael Moore beat Evander Holyfield. So.
All right. Okay. So I mean, we talk. Well, either way, oldest heavyweight champion of all time. Yeah. Can Ortiz do it? So I'm going to finish that on with you.
I mean, with his last outing,
I think he can do it, man.
Well,
if there's any heavyweight that can do it, he's the oldest one, isn't he?
Actually, here in my notes, I've just missed that off a little bit, where you've just said, can he do it? I know it doesn't amount for anything, but Ortiz's last win, after he got blasted to death off Wilder,
of DW,
Dynamite Wilder, was Charles Martin, who was the former.
He was a load of shite though, wasn't he?
Totally.
Absolutely hideous.
But he has got that name on his record of his last win. So that might put him into some kind of contention. I don't know.
Charles Martin is
he wouldn't have went 3 rounds of players for him.
Nah, he's horrendous, man.
Davy Dolan would have banged him out.
He certainly would have. Hey, actually, we're leaving on a laugh. Dad, give us your best Chris Eubanks impression. Let's go. We'll finish on that.
I can't at the moment because my teeth have kind of stuck in my palate. That's Mike Tyson, isn't it? Surely. Sorry, did you say Mike? Hey, Mike, what's happening, Mike? Yeah, Mike, great, man, fucking great. Mike Tyson, yeah. Whatever.
On that note, guys, that's it for today's
Happy days.
podcast.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks very much. We'll see you again.
Thanks for stopping by.